Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Thank you so much for joining us. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, and X, whatever that's about. Also, go find us at HollywoodMatrimony.com. We are on the Instagram, the Twitter, the Hive, Blue Sky, YouTube, Facebook, everywhere. We're everywhere and nowhere all at the same time. So please go like, subscribe, share, throw a thumbs up, throw some hearts, throw some bubbles, throw some cash. We'll take it.
We need it. We're poor.
We'll take everything. That is all. Welcome.
See, I also added the Buddy Christ.
Oh, hey, Buddy Christ. How's it going, Jesus? I know you're coming back tomorrow during the eclipse, along with the Antichrist,
Why
the
does Richard Simmons keep
Illuminati.
falling?
Who else is coming tomorrow? Jesus,
I don't
the
know.
Antichrist, the Illuminati are going to kill people. There's going to be a terrorist attack. There's going to be mass drug usage in the parks. And what else was going to happen?
I'm going to teach class.
The police are out there in tanks. The eclipse is tomorrow. Oh, they're saying that they were a little bit off on the path of the eclipse, so some towns on the sides are not going to see it at all.
No.
Oh, the anarchist people are going to be coming because the 2017 eclipse line and the 2000 whatever line all comes into a big A, so it's anarchists, and I don't know what else is happening. So just stay home and away from all the
I'm going to go teach class, and then I'm going to come home. I don't care.
We'll see what happens, babe. I don't know if anyone's going to even show up to your classes.
I don't know why not. The eclipse itself is not going to happen until probably closer to 12, 1-ish.
I know, but they got to go get out there and get their spot on the lawn.
Half of them don't even care. They're like, I was like, why wouldn't we have class? The eclipse are like, I got a lot of that.
So weird.
Doesn't matter. I'm going to do tomorrow's a normal day for me.
I know. We're just going to do our thing.
God, I hope there's still toilet paper.
I don't know. We were supposed to stock up on groceries and toilet paper, babe. We messed up.
For an eclipse, it's going to last for maybe a couple hours.
4 or 5 minutes. No, it's
I'm talking about the time it
the
takes
whole
for it to
day.
start and end is a couple hours. The eclipse itself will last for a couple minutes. You'll be like, oh, it's over.
Yeah.
I just told somebody today, I see an eclipse every single day. Wow. And the sun goes down, the moon comes up. It's a deconstruction eclipse. Just like
I thought you were going to say something about my big butt.
That's that isn't a daily eclipse. That's an eclipse that just takes over like. That might be like an apocalyptic style eclipse because it just takes over everything. Every room in our house is a shadow.
You're a mess, sir. You are
All right,
a mess. All right, guys. We have movies to talk about. It's a little bit bizarre and creepy that some of the movie posters are so similar. It freaked me out for a second.
Oh, for the two?
Yes.
Yeah. They're
like,
almost the same. When I put them up on the
weird.
website, I was like, should I put those side by side? And I thought that's kind of cool.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah,
So
I thought the same
everything
thing.
we're talking about today is somewhat in the horror genre.
Except for one.
What's kind of a horror romantic comedy? It's not even horror.
Yeah, there's 3 that are horror-esque.
Esque-ish.
And one's an action revenge movie.
Well, and this one's horror comedy.
I know, but it still falls in the realm of the horror
it's
comedy.
Interesting. So we'll get there. All right.
So we'll start wherever you want.
We're just going to go in this order, if that's all right. All right, my love. We are going to start with the movie Night Swim. Tell me all about it.
I have some things to say about this movie.
Okay. Who is in this movie? What's it about?
So this is another one of those Blumhouse, James Wan. So did you know that James Wan and Blumhouse has combined their studios?
James Wan and Jason Blum.
Yes,
Blum.
they combined. So it used to be it was I don't remember what James Wan's studio was. Was it? I don't remember if his was Twisted Pictures or something. Atomic Robot.
No, Atomic Robot's the guy from that did Alias.
No, that's Bad Robot.
Oh, that's Bad Robot. Thank you. You're so smart.
I think Atomic Robot might be James Wan.
Okay.
But I don't remember. It doesn't matter. Anyway, James Wan had a production company. He did all the Conjuring movies and Saws and all that stuff.
Yes.
And because
Atomic Monster, you were correct.
It is okay. So Atomic Monster. So I said Atomic Robot. That's why
I got confused.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Because yours is Bad Robot.
Yeah, that's that guy. Okay.
Atomic Monster is the one that shows like the 50s alien.
Oh, the alien ship goes.
Anyway.
Yes.
His production company and Blumhouse combined, and like they're like
no.
They were meant to be like the next big horror thing because they had so many major hits, and the last few they put out were kind of bombs. So this Night Swim is one of their collaborations, if you will, and it stars Carrie Condon, who was just in the Saints and Sinners movie we just watched. Wyatt Russell, Kurt Russell's child, who's a grown man. Most of you might know him as the U.S. agent character from Falcon Winter Soldier Marvel series. And he'll be in the Thunderbolts as well. And he was also in the Monarch series.
Mm-hmm.
And it follows this couple of this family, excuse me. They move into this house and some shenanigans has happened with the pool previously. And more shenanigans happen with the pool.
Yes.
That's pretty much it. It's a pretty simple story.
Creepy swimming pool.
What'd you think?
I was a little bit disappointed. I thought it was going to be a little bit scarier or creepier. But it's okay. I think it's a fine movie. It's a little bit by the numbers. Once you see like the first time what happens, they're like, oh, okay, I get it. But then when you get into a further explanation, like I like the explanation of why or where it's coming from, because it kind of takes you back to a little bit of a poltergeist reasoning in a way. But I'm just like, meh.
My problem with that is, I agree with you. I kind of thought it was fine.
It was okay.
It wasn't good. It wasn't bad. It just was eh. I think it had some cool visuals using the lights in the pool, and some of the underwater stuff was kind of cool. The CGI, not so great. I thought they overused it. And I'm not really sure how other way you would do that, other than maybe inject some stuff into the water to create the clouds and things like. There's obviously some stuff that we need to use. My issue with the Poltergeist-esque explanation is it felt like they kept giving us different explanations until they finally give us the real one.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like it was in a way that they were trying to throw us off the track before they reveal it. It felt like they couldn't decide what they wanted it to be. And 1 minute it's this thing, next minute it's this thing. And I got kind of annoyed that all the characters just kept making really stupid decisions.
Yes.
And and I know that's par for the course for a lot of horror films. But after a while, you just get annoyed. Like, you don't care if these people die. You don't care if something happens to them. You're like, you're stupid. You deserve to drown in this pool. It opens really strong. Like, that opening sequence is really great. And some of the stuff they do is interesting, and it's feeding. There's a good movie there.
Mm-hmm.
Something was trimmed or something was altered.
Something must have changed. Because I'm remembering in that first trailer, I was like, "Look," because I don't know how to swim, and I'm scared of I'm not getting in a swimming pool, especially at night.
Yeah.
And so I was like, something creepy. So I was really excited about it. But yeah, something in the editing or how it was put together, just I don't know. Because it is good, and the makeup effects of some of the creepy water monster possession thing. I don't know what we want to call it. Don't want to give it away.
I thought Carrie Condon was really good.
She's good.
And that woman was amazing getting an English accent from as strong as Irish accent that she has.
Yes, because we watched that movie we talked about last week with.
Yeah, I said that already.
Oh, yeah. But I'm just saying, the movie with what's his name? But
The Saints and Sinners. Land of Saints and Sinners.
Man.
But Wyatt Russell is he looks like he's just enjoying himself doing the movie. Yeah. And it's kind of something different for him. But he has a couple of great moments. Like, there's a baseball sequence that he does because he's an ex-baseball player. And there's a baseball sequence that you see there's great emotion in his face from what happened. And it kind of sets this tone of like, oh, okay, we're going to get something kind of, it's almost like Poltergeist meets Cocoon. I don't know if you've ever seen Cocoon.
I think I have, yeah.
Where the old people jump in and they start feeling younger or they start getting younger.
Yes.
So it's kind of that mentality. It's kind of those fused with a little of its own thing. But again, it never could ground itself on what it wanted to be and what it really wanted to, which part it wanted to focus on.
There's good stuff in there, like the creepy old lady. That was a good scene. I mean, there's good stuff in there. It just didn't all come together very cohesively to make me.
Yeah, there's like an explanation for why it happens, but then there's not an explanation.
Maybe it would be better if there wasn't.
Well, and that's where I'm torn, because I'm one of those people that love when there's no reason behind the terror and the horror. You do. But I think in this case, you needed an explanation of why this is happening. But like, there's a character that tells you, here's what's happening. And it's a simple reason. And I think if they just stuck to that simplicity of it, I think it would work better than when they started trying to build in sacrifices and this and this.
Story
not like cult sacrifices, but sacrifice and this and this. And they start trying to pull on the heartstrings to make it work. And I'm just like, at the end, I was just like, I don't care. It's like, yeah, it's not a bad movie. I did enjoy it, but
it was fun. I was just expecting more.
Yeah.
So maybe that was my bad.
Well, I think I was just hoping just for some cool creepiness using the pool, and while they did do some beautiful shots and some cool stuff with it,
There's
it
some
just
good effects too, makeup effects.
like I said
and all
before,
that.
I think there's a great movie in this concept, but they ended up giving us kind of a generic movie.
Yeah, it was just okay.
So decide for yourself and check out Night Swim. Be on Blu-ray and DVD and digital this week. I think it might be already on digital, but it's on.
And
all
this
that
is a review for all the people that say we always like everything. This one was just like, So there you go. We don't always like everything. Now let's talk about one that I think I did like. I'm trying to still figure out what exactly was happening.
Which one?
And it's the new movie, Lisa Frankenstein.
I will tell you, I enjoyed this movie. It has some flaws. I didn't really know what this movie was about, other than I knew it was some sort of a horror comedy take on the Frankenstein story.
Yeah.
Clearly with Lisa, I thought it was going to be the lady. So I thought this was going to, my thought without, because I'd never watched the trailer for it. And my thought was that she was going to be some sort of a Frankenstein character.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be her.
But then you forget, Frankenstein's monster, not Frankenstein. So it does fall in the proper idea.
Makes
so
sense.
instead of Frankenstein, because Dr. Frankenstein, most people get confused, is not the monster.
He's not the monster.
So that's why the proper term is Frankenstein's monster.
Correct.
Not Frankenstein. And some people, the horror genre tends to just make that monster Frankenstein, and that's not what it is. So the title, I got lost in the whole thing. So this is a movie that I could have easily seen being made in the 80s.
Oh, it's set in the 80s.
In the 80s, but I could see this being
80s.
something that came out, because it made me think of movies like Better Off Dead and Once Bitten, and but it's got a Tim Burton feel, like it very well feels like maybe Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah, it's got that
kind of
vibe.
Thing. But while I enjoyed it, I found the balance of it to kind of throw it off a little bit in some elements. Like it couldn't decide if it wanted to dig heavier into the horror, dig heavier into the romance, the teen comedy, because it's never laugh out loud funny.
No, it's
subtle
it has some
funny.
cutesy moments, which is bizarre when you're dealing with a Frankenstein character. And I was also, you're not the only one. A lot of people are online. I was like, is this a horror? Is it a romantic comedy? Is it a dramedy? But it's kind of like a coming of age flick. It's one of those where the girl just doesn't fit in with her own kind. So I guess in a way, a little bit of a Buffy kind of thing where she finds love with a vampire, or a Twilight thing where she finds love with a vampire. I mean, it's one of those where you don't find your people with your people.
No, but it also feels like those movies like 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yes,
and all these,
it's that thing
those
too.
makeover movies, Mean Girls or whatever, when they make somebody over and they kind of turn into that thing. And in this case, you've now infused it with the Frankenstein history. And I thought they did some clever stuff. There's the twist on the story of Frankenstein. And all the characters are weird and quirky. And like I said,
super
it's
quirky,
very much
80s.
It's very 80s, very, like I said, Edward Scissorhands. Like I could see Tim Burton make this movie.
Yeah.
What you may not have known.
Yes, tell me.
And I don't know if you noticed, but one thing, Diablo Cody wrote it.
Oh.
It was the same person that made Jennifer's Body and Juno. But the director is Zelda Williams.
What is Zelda?
Who was the daughter of Robin Williams.
Oh, I didn't know that. Good for her. Oh.
So this is her film. We're not getting that. She doesn't get extra props just because she's Robin Williams' daughter.
Well,
she's got to get her own plate.
I mean,
but I enjoyed this movie way more. I had no interest in watching this.
Well, I like this girl. I like Catherine Newton.
I do too.
You think most people may remember
and I like
now from Marvel, right?
Is she in Marvel?
She's
she took over in Ant-Man and the Wasp. In the third one. She wasn't the original.
She's the new daughter, but she was also in what was that other show that we watched?
Isn't she in that Freaky movie?
She's in Freaky, which is great. What do I know her from though before that? Oh, she was in Supernatural.
Oh, she was one of the hunters that was supposed to get their own show, and then it didn't go.
So that's where I'm remembering her from. But then, she showed up in Freaky, and I was like, I love that movie. And then in the latest Ant-Man Wasp, whatever.
Yeah, I think she's going to be at Abigail, too.
Yes.
Coming out.
Yeah, so.
I like her, and I like Cole Sprouse.
I don't think I've ever seen him before, so I'm glad.
Well, you've seen him. You just may not remember.
Didn't pay attention.
He's one of the twins from Big Daddy with Adam Sandler, with the little boys.
But why would I know that now?
Well, I'm just telling you.
That's why I'm like, I can't really place him.
I don't remember. Click on him. Scroll down. Is he the one that's Jughead and Archie, Riverdale?
He's in Riverdale.
Okay, he played Jughead in Riverdale.
Jughead Jones. That's right. Oh, that's why you know him more.
Well,
recently.
I knew him from the other stuff because he's also Zach and Cody, that
Mm.
Disney or Nickelodeon whatever show. Is it Zach and Cody? Scroll down. What is the? It'd be further down. This one there. Sweet Life of Zach and Cody.
Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. You're
so
right.
The brothers were, that was their big claim to fame.
Why do you know that? Oh,
because I have kids.
Daniel used to watch that one, right?
I think so.
Yeah. And Waverly Place.
And they had a crossover with the Sweet Life of something.
Yeah.
Some ship thing. I don't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I was like, why did you watch that? But
because I'm a grown person with children.
No, I know. I remember the.
Why do you watch the? What is that stupid show you watch? Bubble Guppies.
Because I just like it.
Okay, so don't question me for watching something.
And our granddaughter doesn't really like it as much as I do.
Because it's not a good show.
It is. How rude.
Anyway.
Anywho, Lisa Frankenstein. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. There's a lot of heart. There's some funny moments. I like all the 80s music.
Of course you did.
And
my only issue with the movie, like I said, is the imbalance of what it's trying to be. And it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't hurt the movie because I still enjoyed it because I love weird, quirky movies like this.
Yes, me too.
And especially when it leans into it and it knows it's like, we know this is not a movie that people make like this today, like Rubber and again, Edward Scissorhands and Tim Burton style in general. When you see movies like this, you're either in or you're not.
Right.
And I had no interest in watching this just because I was like, this sounds dumb. And I found myself really enjoying it, but that imbalance of not understanding, but not really committing to anything, but trying to be everything. Sometimes you're in the middle of something, all of a sudden it shifts another direction. You're like, okay, you're taking me out of the fun, or you're taking me out of the horror element or whatever, but it's not enough to make it a bad movie.
No, I liked it.
But I also think it's one of those that won't work for a lot of people.
No, you're either gonna like it or not like it. I mean, it's gonna be one of those that.
And I want to give big props to Cole Sprouse because he doesn't speak in the entire movie until the end, maybe. But he's got to walk in awkward positions and grunt and move, and the way he was doing it, you could just tell like. That had to be a lot of work trying to just carrying yourself.
One
like
to remember what you did, like which leg is limpy or whatever. To get through it. Be careful.
But I enjoyed this movie. So if you like things like Edward Scissorhands, give the movie a shot. And if you like Tim Burton, if you don't like Tim Burton, then I'll tell you, this is not a Tim Burton movie. But if you like things like One Spittin' and those kind of movies too, Porky's, not Porky's.
Porky love stories.
Anyway,
I liked it.
Lisa Frankenstein will be available also this week on the Blu-ray and the DVD, and I think it's already available on digital.
All right. Now you got to tell me about this one. I did not get to see this. I'm excited because just reading the interview with Dev Patel of everything that could go wrong went wrong because this was filmed during the COVID times.
Yeah.
No actors were available. Locations were gone. No cameras.
Yeah, so they had to shoot a lot of the stuff. The movie's Monkey Man. It's directed and starring Dev Patel, who's the last person you think of as an action star.
Right.
Now I never did watch Green Knight. I need to go back and watch it. I don't know how action heavy that movie is. We have it, so I don't know why we never watched it. We have it because they sent it. I didn't have time, but somebody else we know saw it, so they did the review for us. That's why. But it's like a medieval movie. But anyway, I don't know if it's a remake of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Maybe. It is.
Oh, we need to
I need to sit and watch it. Anyway. Monkey Man is basically a story about this character named Kid. He never has a name. A lot of people are calling it John Wick in Mumbai.
Oh.
It's a full Indian movie. It is in English and subtitled.
Hindi?
Well, I don't know. I don't want to say Hindi because I don't know which language. I think there's a couple of them.
There's a couple of languages depending if you're in North.
But it's about a young man who's just kind of living underground, kind of in this fight club. He wears a gorilla mask. Everybody's wearing a mask in this fight club. He's usually taking a beating. So the big difference between the John Wick world and this one is he's not like this professionally trained killer who's unstoppable and just a super badass. And what he is someone who is out for revenge and doesn't care, has nothing to lose. So it's a dirtier, grittier movie. The action is phenomenal. It is on par with the John Wick movies. I would say this movie is action-wise is on par with the first John Wick film. But it's, I've been telling everybody this. I found the one fight scene that I've compared it to. So you remember in Mission Impossible, I don't remember which one it is, the one with Henry Cavill, the bathroom fight scene?
Yes.
Where Henry and Tom Cruise and those guys, and that's the one where Henry Cavill like cocks his arms before he goes in.
Yeah.
So how brutal that is, where they're getting thrown and hit with the sinks and the toilets.
And all that.
Imagine that fused with John Wick for 2 hours. That's this
crazy.
Movie. But there's some depth to the story. I do think the movie's a little long. It wasn't too long for me because I was all in. But there are elements that it could have been trimmed down. There's this one section. So you go through this big, hefty, because there's a lot of downtime because they're building character and emotion, and he has to carry the whole movie. He's the main star in most of what you see in this movie. So he's not only directing, but he's carrying the heft of it. Awesome. There's one element I was disappointed in, and I'm going to tell you because it's not a spoiler, but in the final act, and I think I've already told you this, he shows up with this monkey mask on, right, which is what he wears in his fights. Right. So all the fighters basically are kind of anonymous, so they can fight and then leave, and nobody knows it was him. And he shows up in his suit with the monkey mask, like he's ready to do all the final act fighting and stuff. And then right before he starts, he takes the mask off. And I was like upset because I'm like, I wanted to see him fight in this mask and it's badass. But my theory is outside of just wanting to ditch that persona because it's a different time of his character. I also think it was probably a smart move so you can see his face and see that he's doing shit. Because they could have easily put the mask on and then thrown in a stunt double on him.
Yeah.
And he's ripped in the movie. He looks great. But it is chaotic. It's bloody. It's violent. It's dirty. He takes a beating probably just as much as he beats up somebody else. Its movie is fantastic. I awesome. loved this movie. It's already on my top 10 for the year.
Wow. Okay.
It is one that I will probably watch over and over. There's a segment that I can't tell you what it is because it would be a spoiler aspect of the movie, but there's an element in there that I think might put some people off, depending on your stances and beliefs in life. And this isn't about the religion. It's about something else. Oh. And it's something else that's a big argument in the world right now. But I had to take a double take, and it's like a whole. Are you trying to figure out what it is?
No.
Oh,
something else.
It's this whole element in there, and it kind of threw me at first, and then I realized, oh, these are like some cast aside people, and they're helping him because they're also cast aside, so he's kind of their voice, and it's this whole thing. But it does have some heart and some laughs, but it's essentially a 2-hour fight scene. Like don't get me wrong, there's tons of story, there's a lot of downtime, but when it goes, it goes. So I think you're going to enjoy it thoroughly. Okay. There is some shaky cam stuff. But I think, for those that don't know, I don't think it's shaky cam. I think what it is, and when you talked about at the beginning about them saying the equipment died or whatever, they couldn't ship in more equipment. They shot parts of this film on their iPhones. They shot parts of the phones with drones. They use whatever they can. So I think some of the shaky cam stuff is probably just the iPhone stuff. One of our friends saw it today too. She said they loved it, but she was that shaky cam stuff. It's like I don't know if I could watch it on a small screen. Okay. But I loved it.
I'll be okay. I mean, I'll throw up and come back.
You know, we it almost seems like ever since Liam Neeson's Taken, we live in a world where we're getting all these people that shouldn't be action stars that are.
I love
Dev
it.
Patel was the last person I would have ever thought of.
Good for him.
Yeah, I would watch it. And now all I want is to see Dev Patel beat somebody else's ass. Like I want to see this kid and John Wick fight. That's what I want to see.
Since I was reading in that interview, he wrote that like their locations were gone and there were no actors. They were pulling anybody in.
Oh, like, you can kind of tell.
Stunt people, like anybody they could get in to say a line. You're going on the camera.
Yeah.
But do you think they also did it since it's in a? I don't need to be funny, but because of Monkey Men. But did they do like a guerrilla style filming in places they were not supposed to be? You think?
Oh, there's a lot of stuff that looked like that. They probably just pulled it out of their ass. But I'm telling you,
scary and crazy and cool at the same time.
I think it's loosely important to know all this stuff that he's been talking about, because a lot of times they just tell you this story because to sell the film. I think it's important to know the struggles that went through to make this film, because when you see it, you don't see those struggles. And to know what they went through to make this movie happen and to get the version that they get, I'm like, holy crap. I would have never once thought any of those were iPhone shots, or that they didn't have actors, or that they didn't have a proper set, but there are some elements knowing that I can see, oh, they probably did this because they didn't have this, and they probably did this, and there's probably this cut, and like there's only there's probably more than that. There's a select few of characters and then everybody else are just backups that are in and out, and I'm assuming a lot of them probably are just those random
people they could.
Hey, there's a waiter at the restaurant. You want to play a waiter? That kind of thing.
You want to be in a movie?
Yeah. So the movie's fantastic.
Now the craziest thing I'm reading, or most recent report, now the biggest struggle, now that they got it made, is it may not even get released in India because the Indian Film Association has problems with its violence.
Okay, but I believe that.
Sexual imagery and really political themes that they think may be too right wing for the masses.
Yes, there's an entire. Okay, so I'll tell you.
So there's a political and religious thing, but
yeah,
really
I'll tell you one of the elements of the main
thinking.
story, and it's not a spoiler.
Okay.
So part of the main story is there is an election happening, and I don't know if they classify it as the king or the president or whatever they call it over there. I don't know. Everyone, I hate to say.
Yeah, sorry, we don't know. We're ignorant on that. Sorry.
But the guy that's running is going against this guy that's kind of one of these like gurus, and who's
a
like
literal guru or
those kind of spiritual leader kind of guy,
yes.
But the spiritual leader kind of guy is the shady one. And so he's the one pulling some strings to win the election, but he's also the people love him. And so I can see where they may look at that and be like,
yeah,
we don't like that.
So they're concerned about releasing
it. And on the sexuality, there's no like love scenes, but there is stuff like there's one whole fight scene, chase, action, whatever you want to call it, like that's in a brothel type area. There's some other.
Maybe they don't want people.
I don't know if you want to classify. I guess you classify it as transgender group that are there. So it's probably that kind of stuff. Not wanting them to see. I envision it saying it's more the concern is like, oh, we don't want to know we have this stuff in our place. We're better than everybody else, kind of mentality.
Every country has
because this,
that.
I'll tell you, this movie is nothing but the seedy parts of Mumbai. It's not. You never are in the happy area because it's underground fights, it's underground criminal organizations, it's underground people that
That's
are
probably what they
discarded,
don't want to
it's brothels, it's drugs, it's the dirty, gross area of Mumbai. You know, it's nothing. There's nothing there that's showcasing the beauty of India.
Right.
It's showing the dirty violence of this story. But it never once really touches on India, but there's cultural stuff there.
Right.
And there's also, there's another element that has to do with why he wants revenge that's dealing with political uprising and political stuff, you know, where people are murdering people to take land or clean them out and, you know, whatever.
That's happened in all countries. So.
Yeah, I didn't see anything in it that I felt was offensive towards India itself. But I'm not Indian either.
Correct.
But I understand what they're probably concerned about.
Well,
either way, I still
movie.
love this. I love this movie.
Like.
And it was originally, for people that don't know, it's a little fun side fact too, because you see Jordan Peele and what's Jordan Peele have to do with this? So originally, this Netflix was going to pick this movie up. And then they kind of backed out of the deal because they thought it was too violent and this for what they wanted. And Jordan Peele brought Universal in to buy it, because he backed it up, and so he's the reason the movie got picked up by Universal. And from my understanding, Universal bought it for like $10 million, and it made $10 million this weekend.
Oh, awesome!
So it made its money back. It didn't do great, but
but it made it back.
It made its money, and then I'm sure it's going to make some in other foreign countries in long term. But I do, if nothing else, I hope this movie finds its legs. And I also hope that Dev Patel gets credit.
Good for him.
And I hope to see him kick more ass and find.
It was number 2 at the box office.
Yeah, it didn't do horrible. It got beat by King Kong.
Oh, but look, people of color helping other people of color.
That's right.
Love it.
I would love to see Dev Patel just kind of go down a route of action sequences. I'll go watch it again.
Okay, I'm excited to see it.
Anyway, Monkey Man is in theater now. You want to see something fun and different? While it is familiar territory, it's a fun flick.
Now, if you want to see something really interesting, check out this next poster.
That looks almost the same.
Nearly the same thing, right?
And in their defense, there is more than one First Omen poster they put out. I just put that
I
up.
just picked this one because that's what you had on the website.
Well, I had
a creepy one with the weird baby placenta thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I had this one, and when I went to post review, I made it look like, it's just like the Monkey Man poster. Maybe I should. Let's go.
This says it's the most terrifying movie of the year. The First Omen.
And look, it doesn't have a quote, so that means they just threw it on there to try to suck you in.
Yeah.
That annoys me more than anything in horror films when they do that, because 90% of the time they're not even terrifying. They're not scary at all. All right, so before watching this one, for anybody that doesn't know, The First Omen is not just in name alone. It is a direct prequel to the 1976 Omen with Gregory Peck and directed by Richard Donner, the late Richard Donner and the late Gregory Peck. I think Gregory Peck's dead. I'm assuming he is. He was old in this movie. Sorry. He was already retired by the time he made this movie. He came out, if I'm not mistaken, he came out of retirement to make The Omen because he felt, from a story I read this years ago, so I might get it wrong. It was kind of a story that helped him, reminded him of how he wasn't there for his son who went through addiction or something.
Wow.
And so he felt like this movie kind of dealing with a son and dealing with, the loss and all these different things. It kind of drove him to come out of retirement and do this movie. Anyway,
Okay.
So we rewatched the original Omen. I hadn't seen it in years. You had never seen it.
No, I had only seen the newer remake version, which is the one from, I believe, 2006.
Yeah, it is.
With Lev Schreiber and Julia Stiles, and that's the one I had in my head, which is pretty similar.
Let's get that one out of your head.
It's similar anyway.
Did you ever go back and watch it?
I haven't,
Oh, okay.
but I think we're gonna go watch all the Omens now because there's a part 2 and a part 3, and
yeah, I think there's 4, and then there's
who knows?
Anyway. So what did you think of the original?
I really actually enjoyed it. I'm assuming it's funny because when you look back at these movies from the 70s now, I'm like, this is so 70s, and it's not as scary and terrifying. And I love the stylistic things. We're like, I love those shots because they had to throw that in. But you know what? The music in that movie was amazing.
I believe this movie won an Oscar for the music.
Yeah.
What's funny too is in this movie, in the original, there's that scene where the lady falls off the balcony. It's a really weird shot.
Yes. So
there's a reason that movie was shot. That scene was shot that way because I don't remember if it was the Exorcist or Amityville. I believe it was the Exorcist. But there's a similar scene, and they had the actress do the sequence, and she ended up hurting her back, and she still apparently has trouble. And so they were like, she's like, I'm not doing this, not like this. So they retold it. So because of one movie, they didn't do it that way in this.
The other movie, the lady hurt her back.
Yeah, not this movie. This one they redid a different way so that they didn't risk doing the same thing.
It's all for you, Damien.
Yeah. Here's my take on. I'm not a big haunting, possession horror fan. I don't dislike them. I don't have the problem you have with it. You have the problem you believe in and are terrified of it.
I believe possession's real. I believe evil devil babies are real.
My issue is I usually just find them boring. They just don't do anything for me. But The Exorcist, Amityville Horror, The Omen, I all find them to be great movies. Mm-hmm. I just don't find them great horror movies. Right. Meaning I don't see the scary. I don't see the scariness. I don't get sucked into the creepiness. It's whatever on those movies. I just see these are great movies. But I also recognize the time period.
Yes, that's
when
what
they
I was
came out. It would affect people differently because we're jaded by what we see.
Our version of horror now, it's really elevated. It's very gooey or gross, and there's more to it now.
Well, I think there's a different build up to the at least with going back to James Wan with the Conjuring and
oh my gosh,
Insidious,
those movies scared me so much.
Insidious, they're taking on the same thing, but he puts a different tone, a heftier tone, but it's also setting up jump scares. These movies were so subtle in the way they did it. Like The Omen,
to me, it was the facial expressions and the music. The music is what drags you in, and you're like, ah!
The original one also kind of walked the thin line of being, is there really the devil, or is this just people are thinking they're seeing them, the kid's just a nut. There's an element that makes you say, okay, this is obviously something's going on. But I believe the original idea is they never wanted it to be so obvious. They wanted it to make you think maybe the kid's just crazy. There's not really the devil. And,
Was it us that was talking about the difficulty nowadays of making a horror film? Because maybe it wasn't. It was something else. I was watching something, and they were saying the difficulties now of making a horror film is that everybody believes in everything.
I was telling you about that. They were wanting to reboot the X-Files.
Oh, that's what it was.
Chris Carter, who made the X-Files, was saying they're talking about doing a new series, and both actors and everything else. But he said the hardest part is that how everybody believes everything.
I believe in aliens. I believe in possession. I believe in all these things. So
trying to go with the theme of
give me something different.
You don't believe in having discussions of somebody saying, well, these aliens landed. You go to the people nowadays like, I believe you. And then your whole episode's over. So
Yeah.
it's like
because the whole point of that was like, would you believe a man? And be like,
yeah. And back then nobody would believe everything. You know, now we live in a world where there's internet and there's so many conspiracy nuts. We've always had them, but more people have been sucked into it because of nonsense they read online.
It's me.
And you can give them all the proof in the world and it won't matter.
Mm-mm.
Like if somebody believes bologna is ham, no matter what you show them in proof, they're going to still believe bologna is ham.
My friend Janet, they did this to Megan, their oldest one. Everyone in the family was in on it and told her that pickles were actually called something else, but everybody in the family always referred to them that way.
While she was little?
Yes, and so she grew up
as an adult thinking of something else.
It was called something else. That's rude. Anyways,
that's hilarious.
But no, I was going to tell you something.
That's a long term.
The Omen.
Next time you talk to Jenny, you tell her I have a newfound respect that they
stuck with that years.
But they stuck with that long term joke. I have a newfound respect for her.
But I'm telling you, the Omen, like this, like you said, it's classic. It's good. It's not maybe scary by our standards, but it's a good movie. Exorcist, Rosemary's Baby, Amityville, all those. And it's funny because, and I'll tell you why.
I'm doing a long intro just to get into the new movie.
No, but it's curious. I told my boss, my boss asked, what are y'all doing this weekend? Oh, I'm like, oh, we're going to go to the movies. We're going to see the First Omen. He's like, oh, I remember the Omen. And he said Exorcist were the scariest movies I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
This was in the 70s.
Because he saw them when they were new.
Yes. And he's like, and I've never watched a horror movie since. Because they were that. So that's why I'm saying these movies are so classic.
Well, it's the same thing as like things like Jaws.
Yes.
People were so terrified of Jaws that people would not go back in the water, wouldn't swim. My best friend, and I know there's elements to joke now, but when we were kids, he would act freaked out about getting in a pool about Jaws. And I know some of it was a joke, but I'm like, we would get into arguments. I was like, let's swim. He's like, man, sharks. I'm terrified of sharks. I'm like, bitch, there's not a shark in our swimming pool. You know, and it just, but he could swim and everything, and we had tons of time swimming and stuff. It would always get into this shark conversation. And I'm like, dude, there's no sharks to be in a swim. And if there's sharks in a swimming pool, we got bigger issues in our life.
Anyways, all this to say, you need to watch the original.
Yes,
okay?
You do definitely need to, because this
connects.
new one is not just one of those, the First Omen idea where it's just saying, hey, let's start a new story. It is a direct connection into the events of the original movie, while still setting up its own story. Which it didn't do well, so I don't know if we'll get any more. But you never know; it could have legs, and they still go forward with it. So the new one is basically following an American.
Did Omen Part 4 have legs? They did it anyway.
I think the original ones had some legs to them.
Who knows?
Anyway,
okay, sorry.
The new one follows an American woman who is
Margaret.
She's kind of what do they call them? A nun in waiting, a nun in training.
Yeah, she's about to take. She hasn't.
That's a lady in waiting. I don't know how.
She hasn't taken her vows yet.
But when she gets there, she starts seeing some darkness and things, and so she's trying to uncover what's going on and the mysteries of this stuff. And we all know kind of the first one was leading into the birth of the child of Satan. But where's it going to come from? Who's involved? Blah blah blah. What did you think of this new film?
I really enjoyed this movie. I felt like it kept moving pretty well. You know, there's some talkies, but we keep going. We start moving it. I mean, probably midway through, I'd figured it out, but that's fine. I went with it. I was just rolling with it, let it unfold.
Oh, you know everything.
But I was making signs at you, and then there were dumb things, and I'm just like, ugh, your typical scary movie thing. Like, why would you do that? You're dumb. Well, but it was good. I liked it.
I will say that I actually really enjoyed this movie. There are some moments that it drags a little bit for me. Again, I blame some of that on my own lack of interest in this type of stories. Mm-hmm. But I think one of the things I liked about this, which is funny because I do love the older stuff and how it is subtle and it's not always in your face and very obvious. This one definitely leads heavier into the supernatural elements. So there's no secrets of the devil is involved and there's demons and whatever. Not so bad where it got cheesy and goofy, but there are a couple moments that were kind of unintentionally laughable. And I'll have to tell you later on. Mm-hmm. One of them is involved somebody that gets hit by a car, and that scene is kind of. It's a great scene, but it's also kind of, it makes you kind of snicker, and really probably shouldn't be snickering at that moment in the movie. Most of I think the effects were fairly well done.
Oh,
yeah,
that one creepy.
There's one moment that they.
I just
want to say they pretty much go all in with a lot of the things. And when the scene is happening, you could tell the way they're cutting it that at first they could have left it in just a lot of implied stuff, but I'm like, the more it cut to a different shot, I'm like, they're gonna show it.
I'm like, oh my god,
they're not gonna just imply, they're gonna show it.
It was taking me back.
Two different people having an experience. I'm excited, like they're gonna show this. I got this one over here going, no, don't show this.
I'm like, oh my god.
And I'm like,
it took me back to the horrors of being a 13-year-old kid in 7th grade when they did the girls go to this class and boys go to that class. And they showed the Miracle of Life video.
Your kids, well, see, now you're being too obvious of what they're in relation. I was trying to be very, I know, but I was trying to be very generic of what it was. And not.
But do you know that movie, they had to send it back to the ratings board 4 different times to get the movie approved for a rated R.
Which one, this one?
Yes, because that scene was going to throw it into NC-17.
Oh, I don't doubt it. It's a very, very graphic
scene. They go all out.
And it's not, what you think might be happening is not what you think happens.
Oh, no, it's better. It's better.
In big props, there's one element that could have taken it really into the cheesy route, and they kept it kind of blocked by fire and blurry visions, and I think that was a smart move to not.
And that directly connected to the original
kind of, yeah.
Ish.
So I really dug this film. It's average to me because of my lack of being a fan for this stuff, but I do think I liked how they connected. We all saw where it was going to be going. I don't think it really. There's an element though that they lean you into one direction, so I think they make it seem like it's very obvious what's going to happen.
Right.
And then it does take a turn where you're like, oh wait, maybe I'm wrong for about a second. Then he goes back, you're like, oh wait a minute, what? And then okay, it is what I think. Well, okay, maybe it's not, but it's not the way you think. And then you get a little more depth of because you find out in the original Omen the church's involvement with some stuff. This one you get a little deeper connection. There's even a character that's played by a different actor, obviously, that's from the original film. So it's very smartly connected. It feels like what they did with the Halloween films, and what was the other one they did that they kind of connected it recently?
I don't know. Did we watch something recently?
Yeah, it was another horror. Oh, The Exorcist. The Exorcist and Halloween films. It's kind of in that vein where they connected them in a way, and where this one's connected to the film.
At least universes.
Yeah, it's still part of the same world and universes together. Where this was the beginning, some of the other ones were the aftermath.
Yeah. And I really liked this. I think to me too, movies set in the 70s are creepy because
in convents.
Yeah, I'm scared of nuns. Can I say
when we went and saw Monkey Man, we were trying. There was I was at the screening, and the funniest, I gotta tell you for this. Let's just finish the Omen thing.
Okay.
The first Omen is in theaters now. Go check it out.
Well, I haven't finished.
Oh, finish what you're saying, then I'll tell you my story.
I'm scared of nuns.
The nun that do have to do with my story, but go ahead.
I'm kind of scared of Catholic churches because I feel like the statues and things are looking at you. That's just my personal experience. I do believe the Catholic Church has some shady business going on sometimes. I don't think they're bringing about the devil. That seems weird, but I don't know.
Don't start that.
Anyways, I thought it was a good movie. It is creepy. There are some jump scares. There's some gooey moments too. There's a little bit of blood and guts, but I liked it. It was good. There you go. Continue with your story.
Sorry. So I was at the screening for Monkey Man, and when I first get there, I check in, and I checked in. I went and got my water that I drink. I went back, and there's this lady standing at the entrance of the thing with a laptop.
Oh, would you like to take a survey?
Huh?
Would you like to take a survey?
No, she didn't even say anything to me. But I said to her, I said, it's okay. I can go in here. I'm not shady. She's like, oh, it's okay. I'm not going to stop you. And so I went in there, and I get in there. There's 3 people in the theater. I'm like,
okay.
Is this a press only screening? I'm like, yeah. So I look down. There's another lady. I says, is this the Monkey Man screening? She goes, no, it's across the hall. I'm like, oh, I'm in a different thing. So I walk back out. The lady's standing there with a laptop. I said, see, you were supposed to stop me. I'm not even supposed to be in this theater. She goes, oh, no. So after the movie, I'm talking to one of my other reviewer buddies, and I was telling him the story. And I'm like, were they showing the First Omen? Do we know what screening they're having? He goes, I don't know. And he goes, I saw a couple of nuns. I said, what? He goes, yeah, I saw a couple of nuns here. And he goes, would they be watching the First Omen? And I'm like, maybe, because they could be watching it in relation to the church and how they did portray it, and who knows? None smoke. Who knows what they watch? And so it's like, and so they've been giving an entire discussion of the secret nuns that we didn't know what movie they were watching and where they were at.
I'm sorry, they kind of scared. Now I've played a nun in a part too, in a show, but I'm still scared of.
Were you scared of yourself at that time?
No, it was just so uncomfortable wearing all that stuff.
The First Omen's in theaters now. Definitely you should watch the original. You don't necessarily need to watch the second, third, or fourth of the remake, but you definitely need to watch the original before you see the new one.
Check it out.
Or make sure you at least watch it directly after you watch the original.
Yes, that would be fun.
That might even be better to watch this one first and then go watch the original, and you'll see it'll lead from this movie into the opening of the other movie. So just don't leave it, because then you won't understand the other stuff.
Yeah. All right.
It's my turn, isn't it?
It's your turn, my love.
What do we have? Okay, most of everybody told you this week you got Night Swim coming out. I told you something else you watched. Oh, Lisa Frankenstein is coming to Blu-ray and DVD. The 1976 King Kong is getting the 4K Steelbook release. Doom Patrol, the complete fourth season, which I believe was the final season, is coming out. It's a Wonderful Life, which is that movie that It's a Wonderful Life slasher edition that we enjoyed. It's getting the Blu-ray treatment. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey is hitting Blu-ray. We'll be talking about it, the first entry into the Poohniverse. We'll be talking about it next week. But it's getting its Blu-ray thing, and I think that's pretty much it. Some other random small things.
Okay. Coming out at the theater or on the line Tuesday on Video Demand and Digital, a movie called Becky. This is not Becky, the shoot 'em up, fight 'em movie.
Ooh.
This is Becky, who it feels like one of those, what was that movie? Was it the Beyonce movie or something else where the neighbor falls in love with the husband and starts doing shady things to get rid of the wife? That's what this movie feels like, basically. Also on Video Demand and Digital, a documentary called Ink and Linda. This is interesting. It's about a team up with an artist who's in his 20s and a dancer who's in her 70s, and they hit the streets of LA, and it looks really interesting. Also on Video Demand and Digital, a movie called North of Normal. It's a movie about this teenage girl who's been raised in the wilderness, but she decides she wants to have somewhat of a normal life in the city with her mom. So that'll be interesting. Coming to Max, a documentary called Brandy Hellville and the Cult of Fast Fashion. This is based on the Brandy Melville clothing line and the fast fashion trend and all the things that have been exposed about how buying these cheap things, like these $5 things on what's the other sites, those dress places and things online, about what it's really doing to our economy and society and the people working in the sweatshops making all that. So that's going to be an interesting one. Coming out Friday in theaters, a movie called The Long Game. I'm excited about this because I see Jay Hernandez's name. So basically, The Long Game.
So why are you excited about this?
Because Jay Hernandez was in it.
Oh, Jay Hernandez. I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Quaid, Oscar Nunez. It's a bunch of people. So basically, this is based on the true story of a group of 5 young Mexican-American caddies who come together. They make their own golf course to practice on, and they also decide that they are going to compete in the Texas State High School Golf Championship. They don't have the equipment. They don't have all the fancy training, but they come together and they do it, and I'm excited to see it.
Woo-hoo.
Also coming out, I know everyone's excited about this, Shrek 2 being re-released in theaters. If you've never seen it in theater, now's your chance. But
I saw that poster at the theater. I got so confused.
It's a re-release.
I know. I didn't. I saw it at the corner of my eye. I'm like, there's a new Shrek. Oh, that's part 2.
Also, this is interesting. I didn't know there was a remake. I didn't know there was a remake of Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, but there's a new version coming out in theaters on Friday.
See?
So, and the big movie of the week.
I apologize if you can hear the dog barking in the background. She's downstairs.
Everyone's excited about this. This is the movie Civil War. This is the one we keep seeing the trailers for with Kristen Dunst and all these other people, where it looks like the United States has had a civil war, and Texas has finally seceded, I guess.
But from what I was reading something
confused.
like Texas and California teamed up.
California seceded. And they're fighting
everybody else, and that's a lot of people throwing fits about there's no way Texas and California would team up.
We would not. We don't like each other.
But I don't have a problem with either one.
But this is actually kind of a terrifying look at what could potentially be the future, because all these people in Texas want us to see it and be like,
well, I think there's a line in the trailer that I think is the scariest thing ever, and I think it says wonders for the state of the United States, where they're like, oh, I'm an American, and the guy's like, but what kind of American are you? And you're like,
what's the right answer?
That used to be enough.
Yeah. So it's crazy.
It's got Kirsten Dunst
creepy.
and her husband.
Yeah, it seems creepy and crazy.
I'm looking forward to that one. Sting is another one. That's that spider one.
Oh my gosh. Okay, the movie Sting. It's coming out in limited release, maybe near you. It's a film about a 12-year-old girl named Charlotte and her pet spider. So we're thinking Charlotte's Web. That seems cute. Yeah, no. The spider slowly transforms into this giant spider that's eating everything and everyone. And that trailer looked creepy. Because first of all, I don't like spiders. And she's talking to it, and the spider's responding, and I'm like, oh no, talking spiders, not today. So that looked creepy. All right.
Did you ever watch that?
This? Yeah, not yet.
That's what I said. So we'll be talking about it.
We'll be talking about this next week. The movie is Damaged. Who's in this?
Samuel L. Jackson and Vincent Castle.
Ooh, it's a Chicago detective goes to Scotland after an emerging serial killer crime matches those he's been investigating 5 years earlier.
It's basically about two cops investigating a serial killer. That Arcadian movie looks awesome.
Okay, well, it's only in limited release.
I don't care. Okay. You tell about it because it's Nicolas Cage.
Okay, not yet.
I'm gonna punch you in the
Coming out to Prime Video this week on Friday, Fallout, the series based on the video game, or as they're saying, the greatest video game ever made, Fallout.
Who said that? Is that in the thing? Oh.
That's their own trailer.
It's very popular. I did a series of trading cards for that.
Oh, okay. So we're 200 years after the apocalypse. People are coming out of their Fallout shelters to discover what's out there in the world.
It's got your favorite guy in it.
Who's that?
Walton Goggins.
Okay. Coming out to Hulu, a movie called The Greatest Hits. It's a love story that explores music and memories.
They keep sending me stuff about that. I'm tired of it.
Coming to Netflix, this is for you. Woody Woodpecker Goes to Camp. It's a new animated feature. Or animated live action CGI.
What? So it's a sequel to Woody Woodpecker they did? They did a live action Woody Woodpecker movie already.
It is.
I mean, it wasn't good, but they did it.
Also coming out to video demand and digital on Friday, a movie called Blackout. This guy, I don't like that they just tell us this. He realizes that he's a werewolf and he's been losing time at night. He has no idea where he's been and what's going on. And the small town is trying to figure it out too. So he's in danger. I think that's kind of it. Oh no, there's one more thing. It looks like a Woody Allen film coming out. I don't know if we should talk about these or not, but it's called Coup de Chance. It looks like a romantic comedy. It says it's a contemporary romantic thriller. So could be a little bit interesting. And that's it for this week.
You didn't talk about the Nicolas Cage one I wanted you to talk about.
It's not coming out yet.
It doesn't matter. You promote it. Just because it's limited doesn't mean you don't tell people.
And limited release. It may be near you. The new Nicolas Cage film. Hold on, my mouse is not working.
Fantastic.
It's called Arcadian. After a catastrophic event wipes out the majority of the world, a father and his two sons must fight to survive in this crazy dystopian future where they have to fight monstrous creatures that come out at night.
And we need to discuss this live on the air with everybody.
What?
You need to tell people about limited release because limited release might be what near them.
Okay, well.
I mean, limited doesn't mean only like 3 people can watch a secret.
Well, then you want me to tell you about everything?
Not necessarily because not everything we care about, but I'm just saying.
Okay.
Don't just discard limited release.
Well, also in limited release, I think this is the only other one, a movie called Escape from Germany. It's Hitler's armies invading 1939. These American missionaries were there in Germany trying to help a local church. They're trying to get out. There you go. Their harrowing escape out of Germany during the war.
All right.
That's it.
All right, so diving into contests.
Oh, that's great.
We have mostly the same, few of the same ones still, but I'm expecting some new stuff probably this weekend or next. We've got Donnie and I Don't Fight Any that says Polar Rescue, 1% Warrior with Tak Sakaguchi, which I enjoyed. Baby Assassins 2 that we think is a lot of fun.
So good.
Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, the final nail in the coffin of the Zack Snyder's DC Universe. Wonka, which I think is a fantastic movie.
And I refuse to watch.
It's because she's a dorkhead. And the new Color Purple, which I was against, but it is a fantastic
It's
movie as
amazing.
well.
It's really good. All right. That's it, my friends. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Find us on our website, hollywoodmatrimony.com. We're on Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram. Did I say Facebook? Hive and Blue Sky.
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere.
Everywhere you don't want to be.
And now it's time to go watch WrestleMania. And everyone be safe tomorrow during the eclipse. Stay home.
See you next time, and we'll have superpowers.
Ooh.